It's the spooky season, as heavy music is often associated with scary good times, or at least that's how not heavy music listeners see it.
Rock and metal are evil!
So I decided to ask our lovably flawed metal-loving robot Barty of Google Bard, what are the 10 scariest rock bands? As we've seen in past Google Bard videos, it's proven that Google has terrible but hilarious AI, and that you never know what to expect. I typed in the prompt, what are the top 10 scariest rock bands? List off each group and give reasoning. Barty thought about it for a good 30 seconds and came back with the following.
Here's a list of the top 10 scariest rock bands, along with my reasoning. It is important to note that this list is subjective, and there are many other rock bands that could be considered scary. These are just a few of the bands that have gained a reputation for their dark and disturbing music and imagery.
Just remember that Google AI is basing this off of many other opinions over the years, and Barty is doing his robot best. If you don't like the ranking, that's fine. If you're mad about it, remember that you're getting mad at a robot that does not have feelings. Yet. Please subscribe, it does help a ton. You know how these videos work, let's get to it.
10. The Misfits. The Misfits are an American punk rock band, known for their horror-themed lyrics and their iconic skull logo. Their music is a mix of punk rock and surf rock, and their songs often deal with themes of death, monsters, and the supernatural. The Misfits' live shows are also known for being energetic and chaotic.
I mean, horror punk is in the description for the group, and with the music video and skulls, I get why Barty would see this as a scary band. I also love the description for the Misfits' live shows. You know, when they happen, if they happen. I do like how the Misfits are defined as punk rock and surf rock though. Surf rock is a fun description for the Misfits music, and I refuse to correct it because it's just too adorable when I think about it. I want a full surf rock beachside fun time album from the Misfits. The image and the music does aim for some form of intimidation and horror. However, nothing is as scary as those Elvis covers Danzig dig. You want truly horrifying? Check out Danvid's take on the slow, brooding Elvis songs. It gave me nightmares.
9. The Cramps. The Cramps are an American psychobilly band, known for their wild and unpredictable live shows. Their music is a mix of rockabilly, punk, and horror, and their lyrics are often sexual and violent. The Cramps stage shows often featured the band members dressed in fetish gear and performing explicit acts.
Never in a million years would I have thought to include the Cramps on this list. I mean, I get it. It's bad music for bad people. I just never thought as the music itself as scary, even though the lyrics can get fairly intense, crude, and at times horror-themed. Google Bard went deep and found a good one. The description of the Cramps is fair with what Lux Interior and Poison Ivy were doing through the 80s and into the 90s. This was the campy schlock focus in some ways, which was massive in the 80s with horror, as well as the Cramps being a good soundtrack for that. Yeah, I could see a scary association. Part of me thinks Barty saw the Wednesday Association from the Netflix show, and the music being used has associated it all together. Because Addams Family and Spooky Association would put Barty's decision over the top. Good job, Wednesday.
8. Marilyn Manson. Marilyn Manson is an American industrial rock musician and filmmaker. His music is often controversial and provocative, and his lyrics deal with themes of sex, violence, and religion. Manson's live shows are also known for being shocking and outrageous, with the singer often engaging in self-mutilation and other disturbing acts.
How do I put a rose on this without talking about anything related to Marilyn Manson's current situation, which is way scarier than anything music-related? Gotta keep this clean for YouTube somehow. Okay, so I've seen Marilyn Manson live several times, and each time he was clearly under the influence of something to the point of not being able to articulate his own lyrics. Over the years, every time I saw Manson perform, it was scary bad. So yeah, I can count on this as one of the scariest musicians ever. No comment on anything else right now. Moving on.
7. Rob Zombie. Rob Zombie is an American heavy metal musician and filmmaker. His music is often dark and disturbing, and his lyrics deal with themes of horror, violence, and the occult. Zombie's live shows are also known for being visually stunning, with elaborate stage sets and pyrotechnics.
Rob Zombie is obsessed with horror, and it's infused in every concert he performs all the way to this year, where he was showing clips of horror classic schlock films and his own films with violent imagery while people were dancing to Living Dead Girl. The Freaks on Parade tour was aptly aptly named. So well named, in fact, that I remember families and people who brought children with them to Rob Zombie's show this year. Yeah, they left early after the super violent and squeamish footage and full nudity on stage. Not really an all-ages show. You need to start thinking of these acts from the common viewpoint who are not super familiar with the music. On surface, Rob Zombie is a skeezy-looking, sex and violence-loving menace. Then you add a lot of the lyric content. Again, Barty understands the assignment on this one.
6. Slipknot. Slipknot is an American nu metal band known for their masked stage personas and their aggressive music. Their songs often deal with themes of anger, alienation, and despair. Slipknot's live shows are also known for being intense and chaotic, with the band often moshing with the audience and destroying their instruments.
One of my favorite bands, listed only at number 6 on the list of scariest groups. Interesting, as I'm pretty sure in the early 2000s, most media and moms of teenagers saw the masked men as a sign of the apocalypse. Slipknot is not the classic music moms want their well-behaved angels listening to. So take those masks and add themes of anger, alienation, and despair. Yeah, I could see why that would scare our lovable robot. And if Barty could ever see Slipknot live and how wild they make fans at a pit react, then I'm sure Google Bard would have more proof for its AI reasoning. Destroying their instruments? I mean, Clown really does beat the crap out of that cake when he needs to, but the only real destruction on stage is the band hurting themselves over the years. Accidents happen. Adrenaline-filled accidents that lead to severe damage. I mean, that's also scary.
5. Mercyful Fate. Mercyful Fate is a Danish heavy metal band known for their satanic-themed lyrics, and their lead singer, King Diamond, who is known for his operatic vocals and his elaborate stage persona. The band's music is often dark and atmospheric, and their lyrics deal with themes of death, hell, and the devil.
Now we're getting to the proper horrifying content. Mercyful Fate is a great choice. Original black metal, King Diamond leading the band singing about demons and the occult, roots of corpse paint being adapted for black metal, people around the world thinking this band was drenched in evil, totally scary. Barty gets another good one. I also love that Mercyful Fate started because the former band of King Diamond and Shermann, called Brats, was told by their label to stop being so heavy and to become more commercial. They left and made Mercyful Fate and went deeper into the dark side. That's about as metal of a band origin as it gets. And during the satanic panic and seeing Moms Against Metal rally against bands who are accusing all metal of being evil, you look at a band like Mercyful Fate singing about Satan worship and wearing corpse paint. Yeah, that scared Google Bard.
4. Ghost. Ghost is a Swedish heavy metal band known for their theatrical stage shows and their use of satanic and occult imagery. Their lead singer, Papa Emeritus, is dressed as a pope, and the band's other members are dressed as ghouls and other creatures of the night. Their music is a mix of heavy metal, pop, and classic rock, and their lyrics are often cryptic and mysterious.
I truly cannot wait for the comment section to see bitter Ghost haters complain about Ghost being ranked scarier than Mercyful Fate and Slipknot. I'm sure they're furious at their phone screen right now while trying to type out an answer that doesn't make them look like a nerd. Do I think Ghost is scary? Not one bit, even by appearance, though death and dismemberment along with cartoonish devil worship is in the music and music videos, along with a new Papa leading the way every few years via death of the previous Papa. I could see why in description, Ghost would be scary. Then you give the music a chance and you realize there is nothing scary about this. It's like a really well done haunted house that gives out free candy and laughs all the way through, and at the end is an evil pope telling everyone to dance. I mean, maybe that's scarier to bots, I don't know.
3. Mayhem. Mayhem is a Norwegian black metal band known for their extreme music and controversial stage shows. Their singer Dead died on stage in 1991, and the band's guitarist, Euronymous, took photos of the corpse and used them on the cover of Mayhem's live album. Mayhem's music is often violent and blasphemous, and their lyrics deal with themes of death, Satanism, and misogyny.
Another appropriate use of black metal entry on this list. Controversial and extreme music with tons of dark history that I cannot even scratch the surface of. Music about everything dark and evil and wretched in the world. Mayhem is as scary as it gets, both with the group's own terrible history and the people involved, and that's not even really scratching the surface on focusing on the music. It wasn't just shock value either. Mayhem was legit terrible in many of the things they did. Another example of trying to keep it somewhat tame for YouTube. Black metal and true cult down to the lifestyle, to the point of said lifestyles overshadowing the music. Even the live performances that did not result in death would overshadow the music. I feel like Barty would need a hug after learning about Mayhem.
2. GWAR. GWAR is a satirical heavy metal band known for their elaborate stage shows and costumes, which often feature grotesque monsters and aliens. Their music is a mix of metal, punk, and thrash, and their lyrics are often humorous and crude. However, their live shows can be truly terrifying, with fake blood, gore, and other bodily fluids being sprayed on the audience.
It's difficult to go from legit horror in real-life circumstances like Mayhem to a band full of aliens who comically destroy celebrities on stage while spraying blood on fans. It's another case of comical horror, but even with all the hammy violence and cherry-flavored blood, I'm not sure this is one of the scariest groups ever, especially after some already on the list. This is a glorified sci-fi comic book come to life in metal form. I don't know, I mean, I guess when Barty is reading descriptions about GWAR and reading lyrics and scanning images, okay, now that I think about the prosthetics, I can see why Barty would be a little terrified. It's meant to be fun though, it's not meant to be legit scary. Look at the photo of GWAR. Some of their props came straight out of a Halloween shop. That's not terrifying.
Black Sabbath. Black Sabbath is often credited with being the pioneers of heavy metal music, and their dark and gloomy sound helped to create the rock and roll horror subgenre. Their songs often dealt with themes of death, occultism, and the supernatural, and their album covers were often just as disturbing.
The creators of metal, a dark history through personal lives, the world would not be the same without Black Sabbath, and I don't know if I would have put them as the scariest band ever. I understand back in the 70s and 80s, Black Sabbath was truly feared, and those fears were intentionally stirred up by anti-metal and religious activists. Less metal and more prayers in school. My baby was a good boy until he heard Black Sabbath. I'm not saying there was never a viewpoint of Black Sabbath being scary. I'm instead asking, are they actually scary? Even in the old photos, they just look like a bunch of guys you'd see walking around the streets in England anyway. You wouldn't scream evil and flee in terror. On top of that, the music is not exactly scary, especially now in hindsight and when compared to other bands on this list. The birth of metal, though, was seen with such dismay from so many, I think that would have led to legitimately scaring people. It's the Simpsons meme of won't someone think of the children come to life, and directed at Ozzy, Tony, Geezer, and Bill. And Dio, and honestly anyone under the Black Sabbath name. I think there is a good selection of names on this list, even if I don't exactly agree with every entry or the ordering. I cannot fault Google Bard given some of the data, however, and as far as reasoning for each entry goes, this is much better than some of the other past lists Barty has made. I'm curious of what other bands people think are legit scary also. Leave a comment and let everyone know, because I know there are more out there. I mean, we're all scared of something, and that includes bands and artists. I'm hoping there are good jokes in the comments section also of what band is scary.